Our MC, Arata Tuma, and his older brother, Ryu, lived with their abusive and trashy parents. They are treated poorly, but in everything, Ryu always finds a way to take care of his little brother. In one instance, Ryu jumps in and he gets hit instead of Arata. Later, Arata tells his brother about his dream of becoming a slayer so he can be a hero. Instead of getting mad at him or discouraging him, Ryu assures Arata that he is going to support his dream of becoming a slayer. From that day forward, Ryu helps his brother train hard and engage in special training. Everything changed one day when they were in their room and a gold orb appeared, signaling that Arata was about to become a slayer. The brothers hug each other excitedly, but just as Arata is about to grab the orb, his trash father shows up and grabs the orb. He tells the boys that he will take care of the golden orb for them, but Ryu tries to defend his brother. His father angrily kicks him across the room, declaring that whatever belongs to his son also belongs to him. Their father walks out of the room, talking about his plan to sell the orb, but he promises to buy them something good for the first time in their lives. Their father then goes to a rich young dude, Goto Takatora, to sell the orb for a mere 30 million. With this, Takatora became a popular slayer. They didn't know this until they saw Takatora wielding the orb on the news. Since there is only one orb for each element in Japan, they immediately figure out that Takatora was the one in possession of the orb they worked hard for. Ryu is pissed because Takatora is living Arata's life, and Arata sees this. Ryu then decides that they need to pay Takatora a visit to try and get the orb back one way or another. Momentarily, the two arrive at Takatora's office and they waste no time, telling him that they are there to get back what is rightfully theirs. Takatora offers them money, but Ryu refuses, telling Takatora that the only thing his brother wants is the orb. Realizing that the two are stubborn and wouldn't budge, Takatora asks them to follow him, claiming that there is something he needs to show them. He leads them into a room where there is a magic crack in space. Before the boys know what is happening, Takatora locks the door behind them. The boys panic since they know that they are going to be possessed by dark energy, which will eventually turn them into magic beasts. The dark energy moves toward the boys, and Ryu pushes his brother out of the way. He gets hit instead, and Arata watches as the dark energy possesses his brother. Before turning into a magic beast, Ryu tells Arata not to give up on his dream of becoming a slayer. Arata falls into despair when he sees his brother become a magic beast, and he starts blaming himself. But suddenly, it dawns on him that he is not at fault. After all, those who selfishly took what belongs to him are to be blamed. Arata cannot believe his eyes when he sees an orb that he has so much wanted appear right before him. Without holding back, he stretches his hand toward the orb, and it merges with him, sending a wave of pain that comes with the transformation into his body. While shouting and trying to maintain his sanity, he sees a notification telling him that he has received the protection of the demon realm. In addition to this, he acquires some skills like the Blast Shadow Blade, the Blast Armor, and the Blast Flash. Meanwhile, Takatora is laughing and making fun of the two, and he talks about his plan to kill them to level up. Takatora boasts about his high status and the fact that the boys are nothing but peasants compared to him. To him, he has taken care of the problem, but little did he know that Arata was going through a tough transformation. When the pain finally subsides, it dawns on Arata that he might have absorbed the orb's power. He is still thinking about this when his already transformed brother comes charging at him. He almost crushes Arata, but Arata finds himself moving before the blow can even reach him. Arata realizes that he somehow dodged the blow instinctively, and his body even feels very light. He also notices that there is a status screen in front of him, showing his level, status number, skills, and even an HP bar. Since everything is new to him, he doesn't know if he has become a slayer or not. He is still thinking about all of these when his brother comes charging at him again. Arata screams at the top of his voice, trying to tell his brother not to be consumed by the power of the dark energy. Arata assures his brother that he is going to save him because it is finally his turn to do so. Arata refuses to move, and just as the beast is about to reach him, it suddenly stops. It lets off a frustrating scream before breaking the wall behind them and escaping through there. Arata is shocked to see this, and he realizes that there might still be some sense of his brother left in him because he just suddenly stopped attacking and ran away. It dawns on Arata that his brother will be killed by the Slayers if they find him. He figures out that the best thing he needs to do is find his brother before they do. Suddenly, a magic fissure appears in front of him, and a terrifying beast appears from inside the crack. The beast doesn't hesitate as it tries to slash Arata and skewer him. Arata jumps backward, dodging the beast's punch, which leaves devastating destruction in its wake. Arata is still trying to get a read of the situation when the beast hits him with its tail. Arata is sent flying, and he crashes into the wall. Pain overwhelms his body with the realization that the beast is not to be toyed with. Arata concludes that he needs to defeat the beast fast so he can go after his brother. Just then, it dawns on him that he has acquired some skills, like the Blast Shadow Blade, the Blast Armor, and the Blast Flash, which are all still on level 1. Realizing that he is also a Slayer, Arata is filled with the confidence to stand his ground against the attacking beast. Just as the beast charges toward him, Arata unleashes the Blast Flash. This unleashes a dark energy that sends the beast flying. Arata is still trying to take a break when the beast comes charging at him again. Before he knows it, he gets slammed into the wall, and he starts to lose control of his body. Arata cannot believe that he just achieved what he has always wanted to. But he is suddenly about to die. He wonders if he is going to die without doing anything meaningful, which includes saving his brother. Just as the beast is about to reach him, Arata enters the flow state, with a dark purple aura swirling around him. He opens his eyes, and it burns bright like that of a vampire. Out of nowhere, the beast gets hit with several projectiles, causing it to scream in pain. Arata passes out, and when he opens his eyes, he sees the beast lying dead in front of him with several weapons sticking out of its body. Arata is shocked to see this as he starts to wonder if he really defeated the beast. He has no idea what just happened to him, and the system notifies him that he has reached level 3. Arata realizes that he leveled up because he beat the beast, which basically means his stats have gotten better. However, he forgets about getting stronger or not and decides to focus on finding his brother. He gets on his feet and steps onto the street, looking battered. Takatora crosses his mind, and Arata's rage burns brighter with the determination that he is never going to forgive the dude for what he did. Suddenly, he loses the remaining strength in him, and he passes out on the streets. Meanwhile, Takatora has gone back to the room to check if the brothers are dead, only to find a broken wall and destruction everywhere. Takatora cannot believe his eyes when he sees this because there is no way he expects the brothers to be able to escape his grasp. Later on, Arata wakes up from memories he shared with his brother. He looks around to find himself in a strange environment, which happens to be an infirmary. The last thing he remembers is going to the Goto building and fighting a beast. Suddenly, it dawns on him that he has a brother who has turned into a beast, and he needs to save him. Arata is about to get off the bed when a nurse suddenly appears in the room carrying some medical items and telling Arata that he needs to stay on the bed. Arata stutters, not knowing what to say, and the nurse reveals that they got a call that he collapsed on the roadside. She points out his injuries, which he sustained from fighting the beast. Arata had totally forgotten this, but the nurse's words jerked up his memory again. Arata then asks the nurse where he is, and the lady replies that he is in a Slayer relief station. The nurse adds that she is not new to things like this because rookie Slayers tend to overthink things in their first fight, which lands them in the hospital. Arata is surprised to find himself in a relief station, and he starts wondering who could have brought him there. The nurse then tells Arata to join a guild and get himself a Slayer badge. She is about to continue explaining the perks that come with joining a guild when Arata cuts her short, telling her that there is somewhere he needs to be. The nurse screams at him like his mummy, telling him that he can't be moving around just yet because he needs to rest. Arata then lies back on the bed, and the nurse soon leaves, urging him to wait for her. The moment the nurse leaves, Arata gets off the bed and walks to the door. At the door, he hears some dudes talking about the magic beast that appeared near the Goto building. Arata figures out that the beast they are talking about is his brother. He also hears them talking about how an unidentified Slayer is accompanying him. The dudes reveal that it is going to be a problem for them to handle the beast if it ends up entering a magic fissure. Arata immediately figures out that the guild is hunting his brother down, and it is not going to be long before they hunt him down and kill him. Arata immediately figures out that he needs to find his brother quickly. The nurse returns to the room only to see that Arata has disappeared via the window. Arata runs through the street with the worry that his brother is going to be sent to the afterlife. He remembers them talking about a magic fissure, and he figures out that his brother might be trapped in one. Since this is the case, Arata decides that he has to check out every possible magic fissure in the area. Suddenly, he hears an announcement on the phone telling him that a magic fissure has appeared in the Asagi area and civilians are advised to evacuate. Because of the timing, Arata decides to check it out. He reaches where the crack is and learns that it is of a low rank, the bronze rank. He realizes that a barrier has also been put around it, which means someone from the association has gotten there, but there is no presence of a Slayer yet. Since this is his first time entering a magic fissure, he is a bit nervous and scared, but he gets over this with the realization that he needs to save his brother. The moment he steps in, the system is notified that there is someone trying to clear the magic fissure. Arata is blown away when he sees what the inside of the fissure looks like. It looks like a desert, which is totally different from the outside world. Since he has no idea where his brother can be, he decides that he needs to go deeper. Suddenly, he gets a mission notification telling him to defeat the boss to clear the fissure. Since there's a boss in the fissure, he figures out that it will be in the deepest part of the fissure. However, he knows that he will encounter other beasts on the way, and the question of whether he can defeat them or not rings in his head. Momentarily, a level 3 beast appears in front of him. He remembers defeating a beast the day before, but he doesn't really know. Nonetheless, he figures out that he has no choice but to fight the beast. He taps into his skill list and whips out the Shadow Blade. Arata is glad that he is able to pull it off. The beast charges toward Arata, but he blocks the monster's bite with his Shadow Sword. Arata struggles against the beast as he grits his teeth, trying to gather his strength together. Arata ends up getting pushed backwards by the beast. Arata finally realizes what it means to go against monsters. He's been training with his brother, but this tells him that it barely makes a difference against monsters. Nonetheless, he pulls himself together and he blitzes the beast, cutting it into bits. After defeating the monster, he gets the notification that he has jumped from level 3 to level 5. Before he can get a breather, a pack of monsters appears right in front of him, sending a wave of fear through his body. Arata cannot believe that a bronze rank dungeon is able to produce such a high number of monsters. Arata is left to wonder if he can actually take on all of the monsters if they come at him at the same time. Instead of allowing the fear of this to cripple him, Arata was poised to take on the monsters. He is convinced that he has a chance against the monsters if he can use the broken skill he used the day before. The moment the monsters come running at him, Arata realizes that he is done for because he doesn't even know how to use the overpowered skill. Just as he is about to be overrun, massive firepower appears and consumes the monsters. Arata is shocked, and he hears a voice behind him, asking him about the nature of the skill that he just used. Instead of answering the question, Arata is blown away by the overwhelming firepower that he just witnessed. The unknown dude stares at Arata like he is a threat, and he reveals that he got a call from the association about an unidentified slayer, and judging by what he just saw, he assumes that Arata is the said slayer. Arata takes a look at the dude, and he figures out that he is a golden slayer who possesses the fire attribute. The new dude is Ryo Kuji, and he is a member of the Lion Flame Guild. He is accompanied by 2 other slayers, Shu Makishima and Hayato Akagi, who are both silver-ranked slayers. Arata wonders why the dude is there since he is one of the 5 great kings. Some of the beasts disrupt the conversation, and Ryo angrily burns them to dust with just a snap of his finger, leaving a cloud of fire behind him just so he can aura farm in front of our MC. This gets to Arata, who is witnessing the power of a golden slayer for the first time. Ryo walks up to him as he talks about the unusual number of monsters that are present in the fissure, since it is a bronze rank fissure. Ryo points to Arata's Shadow Sword, asking him what his skill is. This question hits Arata out of nowhere since he has been wondering what his skill is. He only knows that the skill is not part of the 5 main attributes, but he doesn't know what it is. Ryo gets even more curious, saying Arata is a weird person who is also wielding a weird skill. With a stern face, Ryo asks him what he is doing inside the fissure. Arata figures out that he obviously cannot say he is looking for his brother because they are just going to mark him for subjugation too. Arata decides that he is just going to ignore the question and continue moving. Arata turns around, thanking Ryo for his help, while walking away. Basically, orbs are like a wish or prayer, since they resonate with one's strength to produce an attribute closest to the user. This is common knowledge, but Ryo sees no sign of that in Arata. Ryo then stops him, saying he has finally figured out that he is the irregular slayer that they are talking about. Arata stops to argue with Ryo, telling him that he has no idea what he means by an irregular slayer. Arata says he needs to go, but Ryo lets him know that he has been ordered by the association to bring him in for questioning. Ryo urges Arata not to take it personally as he charges at him with a fiery punch. Just as the fire blast is about to hit, Arata covers his head with his sword to block the incoming attack. Arata is left in shock when his shadow is burnt away by Ryo's overwhelming firepower. Even Ryo is shocked to see that the sword burned away. Arata is forced to put some distance between himself and Ryo, but Ryo is not yet done with him. Ryo tells his subordinates not to interfere as he is starting to enjoy himself against Arata. The two acknowledge the order, but at the same time, they are scared they will be reduced to nothing if Ryo gets serious in his fight against Arata. Ryo doesn't waste time before releasing a new wave of fireballs at Arata. Arata realizes that he is in serious danger, and he runs behind a rock to hide from the impact of the fire. When the fire subsides, Ryo grins and tells Arata to surrender to avoid being turned into ashes. While hiding behind the rock, Arata figures out that he is never going to see his brother if he gets caught by Ryo. Just then, Ryo leaps into the air, and he launches a powerful fireball that has tracking ability toward Arata. Realizing that hiding won't save him, Arata jumps away from where he is, and he manages to dodge the hit at the nick of time. Ryo stands proud, telling Arata that hiding won't help him. While Ryo is laughing and making fun of him, Arata frantically searches through his skill list to find something that might help him against the crazy Fire Lord Ozai, who is after him. Arata manages to find a skill that he believes will come in clutch. Arata then gets on his feet, and from his stance, Ryo can sense that something is different about him. Arata stretches his hands forward, and Ryo lets him know that whatever he wants to do is useless against him. Just as usual, Ryo hurls a barrage of fireballs at Arata. Just as the fireballs are about to reach Arata, he activates his power and consumes the fireballs. This leaves a toll on him, but he remains standing, and Ryo figures out that Arata is not just some pushover. However, Ryo shows him some really cool and powerful firepower, and he urges Arata to surrender to avoid death. Arata unleashes a longer shadow sword while telling Ryo that his brother is waiting for him and he can't be caught. The mention of the word brother gets to Ryo, causing him to lose concentration. This gives Arata the chance to leap toward him. By the time Ryo comes back to his senses, Arata is already in the air, leaping toward him with his sword. At the nick of time, Ryo is able to block the attack with the armor on his wrist. He manages to hold his ground, but he notices that something has changed in Arata. After a short standoff, Arata backs off and, without any further conflict, tells Ryo that he needs to leave. Ryo is stunned by this, and just then, he tells Arata that he will need to defeat the boss if he is sure that he has someone he needs to protect. Arata is shocked when he realizes that Ryo is actually talking to him. Ryo continues by telling Arata that he needs to level up faster and urges him to stop being reckless because he is just going to burn out faster. Arata smiles and thanks Ryo for the advice before running off. Ryo watches as Arata runs away, and he wears an excited smile like a proud father. His subordinates run over to tell him that they have taken care of the beasts in the area, but Ryo simply replies that Arata is a fiery kid. The two are shocked to see that Ryo is smiling, which points to the fact that he is in a good mood. Meanwhile, at the Navy Guild, they get a report of another magic fissure. The Guildmaster then sends one of her silver slayers, Aoi Ichika, to clear the fissure. Unlike everyone else, Ichika is excited to go into battle, and it is written all over her face. Later on, Arata was forced to exit the fissure because someone defeated the boss, and he figured out that it was Ryo. Even before the fissure was cleared, Arata had looked around, but there was no sign of his brother anywhere. Arata sees an announcement on the news, telling everyone to make a report if they see the magic beast. Seeing this, Arata figures out that he can't rely on anyone to help him, and he has no choice but to just do everything by himself. Just then, he gets the alert that another magic fissure is opening in District 4. As usual, the residents in the area get a notification warning on their phones, urging them to leave the affected area. Since the district is close to where he is, Arata figures out that he needs to check it out. He runs toward the affected area, hoping that other slayers do not show up before him. He gets there to see that it is a bronze-ranked fissure. Since the fissure hasn't been cleared yet, Arata hopes that his brother is inside the fissure. Just as he is about to step into the fissure, two dudes from the Navy Guild, Hanameda and Ishinari, show up, telling him that the fissure is off limits. Things get more intense when the two realize that Arata has no badge. They waste no time trash-talking him, calling him a low-level who couldn't join a guild. They call him a normal slayer, and in the ranks of slayers, a normal slayer is at the bottom, while a gold-ranked slayer is the highest. Arata is utterly blown away by the nerves on the two, and he wonders just who they are. The two continue blabbing, and they reveal that their master will be the one to clear the fissure. Because of this, they tell Arata that no one else is allowed to enter, especially trash like Arata. Arata is confused by what the two are talking about, and he lets them know that he has a reason why he needs to go into the fissure fast. The two tell Arata that they don't give a damn what Arata's reason is because they are not going to allow him to enter. They take it a step further when they attack Arata. Arata manages to move before he gets hit. He maintains a passive stance while telling the two that he is in a hurry. However, Arata finally decides to show them what pain is when he realizes that they are not going to back off. He arms himself with the Shadow Blade and dashes toward the two, ready to show them what pain really is. Suddenly, he realizes that he can't move his feet, and when he looks down, he is stuck by a mud trap set by the annoying dudes. Before he knows it, he starts sinking into the mud, and he soon learns that it is bottomless, and he is going to die if he doesn't find a way to get out. Arata can only stare at the two with no way to get out. Just then, they hear a voice from behind asking the two bullies what they are doing to Arata. They turn around, and the voice turns out to be Aoi Ichika. The two are shocked to see the lady, as she is not supposed to be there. Aoi wastes no time turning to Arata to save him, using her power. She lifts Arata out of the mud, using a water wave. Aoi then asks why slayers like themselves are fighting each other. Still struggling to catch his breath, Arata tells Aoi that Hanameda and Ishinari are preventing him from entering the fissure. Aoi has heard of slayers who enter fissures before proper investigations, so that they can conquer them themselves and take all the rewards for themselves. And looking at the two, she figures out that they are part of the said slayers. The two figure out that Aoi is going to be a problem, and they decide to stop her no matter what. They are confident that they can overpower her since she is just a support slayer. The two don't hesitate before unleashing their ice powers at her, but Aoi creates a barrier to protect herself and Arata. After deflecting the first wave, Aoi turns to Arata, telling him to fight the two while she supports him. Arata is shocked to hear this since he has never fought anyone before, but since they have no choice, he decides to do it. Aoi thanks him for his cooperation, and she unleashes one of her skills, Merlin Schnell. This immediately buffs Arata up, and he can sense the effect of the skill as it leaves his entire body light, different from before. Aoi assures him that fighting will be much easier than before, so he is free to take down the delinquents while she supports him with her skills. Arata gladly accepts, and he runs toward the two at a blinding speed. The two are shocked since Arata is now faster than before, and before they can react, Arata hits them with his Soot Slayer blade. With just a single strike, he takes them down. Arata doesn't feel any blowback on him, even after what he just did, and when he checks his stats, he realizes that they have shot up. Aoi screams at him, asking him if he slashed the two, but Arata lets her know that he only hit them with the back of his blade. Aoi is relieved to hear this, but she is not pleased that dudes from her guild are out embarrassing themselves. Arata notices the Water Slayer badge on her chest, and he figures out that she is also from Takatora's guild. The two finally get down to introductions, and Aoi admits that Arata is decently strong. Before the two can have any further conversation, they hear the two bullies get on their feet to run away. While running away, they mention the name of their said master, which turns out to be Takatora. This catches Arata's attention, and Aoi also gets interested. She reveals her plan to tell the guildmaster, Rei, about what Takatora is doing behind their backs. After the bullies are gone, Aoi reminds Arata that they need to clear the fissure. Arata is hesitant, but Aoi lets him know that the guild members will be arriving soon. However, she can still fight alongside him until then, since she has Rei's permission to clear the fissure. Arata is genuinely confused when he hears this. Aoi then tells him that it is better they team up because of the reports that lower-rank fissures have been displaying abnormal features. In addition to this, Aoi is a support slayer, and Arata remembers that Aoi's earlier buff was actually broken. He finally gets the chance to thank the lady, and Aoi asks him again if he is willing to clear the fissure with her. Since the offer is too good to pass up, Arata decides to agree to it. Excited by their latest cooperation, the two enter the fissure with the aim of clearing it. Upon entering the fissure, Arata is shocked to see that it is totally different from the last one. It is more like a cave with scary spots everywhere. Aoi lets him know that the insides of a fissure are a different dimension, which is why they don't usually know what kind of place it will be. Aoi suggests that they be careful, and Arata acknowledges this. As they walk further, Arata starts to realize that there is no sign of a magic beast, and in addition to this, his big brother is nowhere to be found. Arata wasn't expecting to easily see his brother, but since he has been blessed with the opportunity of entering the fissure with a silver-ranked slayer, he plans to learn how to properly fight while also leveling up. Momentarily, they run into a level 5 goblin that looks like it is hungry to use their blood as a cocktail. Arata remembers that he struggled with a goblin the day before, even though they are considered to be the weakest among the magic beasts. Without hesitation, Arata goes after the goblin and cleanly removes its head. Arata is still smiling about defeating the goblin when an entire army of them shows up. Fear grips Arata when he sees just how many of them there are. He wonders if he actually has what it takes to defeat the goblins. Just then, he is buffed up by Aoi, and this increases his stats as usual. Aoi smiles at him from behind, telling him to show the goblins who is the boss. Arata gladly follows Aoi's instructions as he cuts down the goblins without mercy. After defeating the goblin troops, he moves from level 5 to 6. Aoi commends him for the good work, telling him that it should be easy to handle bronze rank beasts with her around. Arata agrees with her, telling her that his body is surging with power, and Aoi boasts about this, telling Arata that she is called the linchpin of rear support in their guild. Suddenly, Arata senses an ominous presence behind them. He screams at Aoi, telling her that there is danger behind her. A goblin is reaching toward her, ready to slash her down, but Aoi's shield is able to block the attack. Aoi then turns around, and with anger written all over her, blasts the goblin away. Arata is blown away when he sees how Aoi is able to combine multiple skills in a matter of seconds, which just shows how experienced she is. In addition to being agile, she can also provide support to anyone with her. Aoi notices that Arata is lost in his thoughts, and she calls him out of his zone, reminding him that they need to keep moving. Arata already sees Aoi as an idol, and he plans to level up so he can be as strong as her. Arata voices out his wish of being able to protect people just like she does. Aoi smiles, letting him know that his dream is good. However, she tells him that he will have to defeat the goblins that have surrounded them. This is when Arata realizes that they are in the midst of a goblin army. He wonders just how many goblins he has to fight, but he notices that Aoi is calmer than ice. Just like before, Aoi buffs him up, telling him to take down the goblins. Arata appreciates the support that he is getting from Aoi, and this provides a sense of determination inside him. He goes after the goblins, and he starts cutting them down without mercy. As he is relieving the goblins of their vital parts, he is also leveling up. In no time, Arata has taken down the entire army of goblins that was surrounding them. The notification then comes in, telling him that he has jumped from level 6 to level 10. Arata is surprised to see this, but in reward for reaching level 10, Arata unlocks another skill, the Blast Cannon. However, his excitement about getting a new skill dies off when a new batch of goblin monsters shows up. This time around, they came with a larger force that even sent chills down Aoi's body. Aoi tells Arata that the only chance they have against the goblins is to attack them first. Aoi lets Arata know that his skill is weird, but she asks if he can attack from range, because if he can't, they are just going to get overrun. Talking about a range attack, Arata remembers that he just got a new skill, the Blast Cannon. He realizes that the skill is for situations like this. Arata selects the skill and he fires the cannon at the goblins. With just a single blast of magical energy from his palm, he takes out a few of the goblins. However, Arata doesn't stop there as he continues firing the cannon, and before he knows it, he has wiped out the entire goblin army. Aoi turns to look at him, and she smiles. Arata knows what this means, and he is glad that he was able to live up to Aoi's expectations. Aoi then suggests that they head to the boss's chambers, and Arata doesn't object. Just then, he gets the notification that he has moved to level 12. Momentarily, they arrive at the deepest part of the cave, and Aoi tells Arata that she can sense the boss inside the dark cave. She urges Arata to be careful as they proceed further. Arata is nervous because it is his first time, but his duty to protect the girl with him is able to overcome his fear. They soon find the boss in its chambers, and it turns out to be a scary level 15 ogre. The beast gets off its throne and mumbles some words in magic beast language, but Arata doesn't understand any of it. Without further delay, the magic beast releases powerful lightning from its staff. Aoi steps up and tells Arata to leave the blast to her. Using one of her skills, she creates a shield to block the attack, but she can only hold it for a short period of time before getting thrown to the ground. Aoi is shocked at the intensity of the lightning, since it was supposed to be a bronze rank boss. The boss fires another lightning attack, and Aoi lets Arata know that they are never going to get close if the boss keeps firing off attacks. Aoi lets Arata know her plan of guarding against the attacks, while Aoi launches a counterattack. Arata notices that Aoi is struggling, but Aoi urges him not to worry about her. The idea of getting protected by someone all the time pisses Arata off, and he charges at the ogre while it is busy shooting long-range attacks at Aoi. Once he is in a perfect position, he aims at the ogre and he fires the blast cannon at it. Arata's attack manages to destroy the ogre's weapon, taking away its ability to fire off long-range attacks. Aoi celebrates when Arata pulls this off, but the ogre is not pleased, and he throws his destroyed weapon at Arata. The sudden and unexpected throw from the ogre leaves Arata clearly open to the attack. He tries to move, but he realizes just in time that he is not going to make it. Before he even gets the chance to move, the weapon cuts through his body. Arata spills blood from his mouth as he crashes to the ground. Aoi doesn't hesitate before rushing over to him to check on him. She creates a shield around them and she starts healing Arata, using another of her skills. In no time, the wound on his body starts to close up, and Arata coughs before finally being able to sit. Aoi lets him know that what she just did is first aid, and she asks him if he can still move. Arata thanks her for the assist and assures her that he can still move. The two are shocked when the ogre starts charging at them again. Arata cannot believe that such a big creature is pretty agile, and it is heading straight toward them. The ogre aims to punch them into the ground as he swings his arm at them, but Aoi's barrier manages to block it. She struggles against the ogre's power, and Arata realizes that they might as well be done for if they can't take down the ogre as fast as they can. Arata pays attention and realizes that there is a small opening on the ogre's neck that its armor doesn't cover. He figures out that aiming for the spot will help him take down the ogre. Just like before, Aoi keeps the ogre busy while Arata tries to get in the perfect position. This time around, the ogre senses what he is about to do, and it changes his attention from Aoi. He swings a punch at Arata, and just as he is about to get hit, Arata gets a perfect opening to the ogre's neck, and he fires his cannon straight at it. This hurts the ogre, forcing it to its knees, and Aoi screams at Arata, telling him to finish off the ogre. Arata whips out his shadow blade with the determination that he doesn't want to be protected all the time. Before he swings his sword, Aoi doesn't just sit around, as she provides some juice for him. Arata smiles when he receives the power-ups from Aoi. Arata runs at the ogre and leaps into the air while putting his all into the swing. The power from the swing is able to decapitate the ogre and leave it headless. Blood spills everywhere as the ogre loses to our MC. Arata stares into the roof of the cave, and he gets the notification that he is leveled up once again. Aoi smiles as she rushes over to Arata while raising her hand for a high five. Arata is pleased and surprised at the same time, but he returns the gesture. Since the boss has been defeated, the fissure starts to collapse and the two run out before they become casualties in the fissure. The two barely make it out of the fissure before it disperses. Arata realizes that he didn't find his brother, but he manages to get stronger. He is thinking about this when he falls to his knees from exhaustion. Aoi notices that the dude is badly hurt, and she grabs his hand, telling him to follow her. Arata wonders if he is being dragged to the infirmary yet again. Instead of the infirmary, Aoi takes him to the Navy Guild building. She takes him to the waiting room and gives him some clothes that he can change into. She then steps out, telling Arata that she needs to make a report first. 15 minutes later, Arata wonders why the girl is taking so long. He decides to step outside the room to see what is happening. Just as he leaves the room, a girl running toward him trips over and almost falls, but Arata helps her up. Arata is about to get familiar with her when he realizes something important. Arata quickly ends whatever conversation of love life that might want to start developing, and he runs toward the entrance. After helping the girl, it dawns on him that she is the guildmaster of the Navy Guild, and Arata cannot afford to let her question him. Rei, on the other hand, wonders why the dude is running away from her. She shrugs this off and heads to the conference room where Aoi is waiting for her. Rei gladly welcomes her back, but Aoi cuts the whole familiarity and lets her know that there is something she needs to tell her. She immediately pours out her frustration about what Takatora is doing behind their backs. Rei is forced to tell her to calm down as she continues venting. Aoi then calms down to explain the situation to Rei. Aoi then tells Rei that Takatora has been using fissures to his advantage. Rei is surprised to hear this, and she decides that she will have to deal with him by herself. However, she is still worried about Arata, whom she ran into earlier. The next day, Arata considers himself lucky to have gotten away from Rei, while praying that she doesn't suspect him. He is walking through an alley when he sees some slayers struggling against a magic beast while trying to protect a kid beside him. The magic beast is a two-headed monster with firepower, but Arata doesn't hesitate as he dashes toward the magic beast. Arata reaches the monster, and with a powerful punch imbued with his shadow power, he breaks the beast's fire attack. The slayer, who was protecting the kid, is shocked to see such a powerful fellow, leaving him to wonder if he is a slayer. Arata doesn't waste the opportunity to ore a farm, and he whips out his long shadow sword. The slayer is shocked to see this since he hasn't seen that type of power before. Arata is now face to face with the beast while protecting the kids. The beast runs at Arata, but he maintains a perfect thrusting position, and with just a strike, he cuts down the terrifying beast. Unknown to him, he is being watched by a slayer who has somewhat taken an interest in Arata. At Japan's headquarters of the Slayers Association, the 5 kings are present for a meeting. From the Seiwa Guild is Junosuke Doju, Ryokuji from Leon Flame Guild, Rei Isaki from Navy Guild, Takuto Nagihara from Jade Sky Guild, and Shion Inamori from Kaizen Guild. Doju addresses them and points out the first thing on their agenda, which is the unusual number of fissures that have been appearing everywhere. Ryo agrees with him, saying a bronze rank went out of control recently, which ended up releasing a bunch of magic beasts. Rei adds that there are also cases where bosses show up in the fissures, and they are stronger than the rank that they have assigned to them. Ryo doesn't really care if they are abnormal, as he sees it as a normal training regimen for the Slayers. Takuto smiles when he hears Ryo's perspective on the matter, saying Ryo is way more careless about it. This gets on Ryo's nerves, and he angrily stands up to berate Takuto. Ryo claims that his guild has done more than Takuto's guild, but Takuto remains calm while ignoring Ryo until he returns to his seat. Since the incident has only been happening recently, Rei wonders what the problem might be. Doju says there might be something changing on the side of the magic beasts, which is causing the unusual spikes in fissure emergence. However, he lets his comrades know that whatever the change is, it is going to lead them to the truth. He tells them to report any minor change to him, and they all acknowledge the order. After this, Doju moves to the subject of the irregular slayer, who has been going from one fissure to another without registering as a proper slayer. Doju says no one knows his reason for doing this, but he suspects that the change is not happening only to magic beasts, but to slayers also. Rei then tells her comrades that someone like the described slayer showed up at her guild, and Aoi mentioned that his skill was totally different from what she knew. But before Rei could get to talk to him, he disappeared. Meanwhile, Takuto is the dude who was watching Slayer from a rooftop, but he decides not to share anything with his comrades. Rei then tells her colleagues that the unidentified Slayer might believe that his skill is unique and different, which is why he doesn't belong in any guild. When Rei comes up with this observation, Takuto cuts in, saying that there is a possibility that Arata is a magic beast. Ryo immediately shuts him up, telling him to stop saying trash while defending Arata. Rei is shocked to see that Ryo has met him, and Ryo doesn't hide it anymore. He tells them that the kid is pretty strong, but there is no way he is a magic beast. Takuto then laughs when he hears this, and he reveals that he was just messing around. Doju then tells his comrades that the order to capture Arata is optional, since they don't have the proof to issue a warrant for his arrest yet. Shion finally speaks, and she tells her comrades that since Arata is not ready to come in, they have no reason to obsess over him. After giving her first opinion in the meeting, Shion stands up to leave just like the baddie that she is. She claims that she has a tea meeting that she needs to attend. She gets to the door and notices the camera sitting at the top. She has no idea what it is, but unknown to her and to the rest of the team, Takatora is the one watching them using the camera that he has carefully placed in the room. From what Takatora has seen, he realizes that Arata is a concern to the Five Kings, and he thinks of capturing him so his influence within the association can increase. In addition to this, there will be no more chaos, and he would have killed 2 birds with just 1 stone. He figures out that he needs information if he is going to capture the irregular. With the information he has, he believes that Arata has acquired the unique skill of light, while his brother has undergone a magic beast transformation. With these 2 factors in place, Takatora figures out where Arata will appear next. He gets up from his seat and decides that he needs to take care of Arata before it is too late. Later on, Arata finds people running away from a magic fissure, but he runs toward it instead. Just as he is about to reach the fissure, he is intercepted by Takatora, who is fully dressed in Slayer's armor while wearing an annoying smile. Takatora mocks Arata for his determination to hang on to life, but he lets him know that he is there to grab him and take him back to the association. He urges Arata to follow him quietly, but Arata screams at him not to get in his way. Takatora makes fun of Arata about his brother turning into a magic beast and running around. Takatora laughs in Arata's face while telling him that he is going to kill his brother. Rage takes over Arata, and he fires off his burst cannon at Takatora. Takatora doesn't look scared as the attack comes flying at him, and he easily consumes Arata's attack with just a single shot. Arata is shocked, but he refuses to back down as he whips out his shadow blade. He dashes toward Takatora, but he is just too slow for Takatora. Takatora unleashes a long-range attack to try to consume Arata. Arata is forced to use his sword to block the attack, but he fails to stand up to the full power of the attack, and he is thrown to the ground in pain. Takatora doesn't waste time making fun of Arata, telling him that his power is only unique because it's never been heard of before, but it is pretty weak. Arata manages to crawl back up while wondering what might be wrong since he is supposed to have leveled up his burst cannon and blazing shadow blade. He starts wondering if he cannot win against a Golden Slayer no matter what he does. Even in the face of defeat, Arata still manages to get on his feet. Takatora is surprised to see that the kid still has some strength left in him. Arata then unleashes a skill called Soot Darkness, and this creates a black smoke. Takatora doesn't move from where he is as he believes that Arata is creating nothing more than a smoke screen. He wonders what Arata is trying to do, but suddenly, a shadow attack comes flying at his neck. He barely manages to block it with his powers, and he angrily cuts away further strange attacks that might be coming for him. When the smoke clears a bit, he sees Arata charging toward him. Arata almost cuts him down, but Takatora easily blocks the hit. Arata lets him know that he has reached the end of the line, but Takatora argues with him, telling him that he will continue growing until he becomes one of the 5 kings. In addition to this, he wants to seize the Navy Guild while gaining total control of the association. Arata argues with him, telling him that he is not going to stand around and let it happen since he is not someone who is fit to be one of the 5 kings. Takatora knocks Arata backwards while telling him to stay in his place, which is among the low lives. Takatora whips out his ice blade, telling Arata his plan to sacrifice him with it. He makes fun of Arata, telling him that his sword is no match for his. But Arata painfully replies that the orb Takatora is using originally belonged to him. Arata says his big brother would still be human if Takatora hadn't stolen the orb. Arata angrily unleashes a dark aura from his body when he remembers that Takatora is to blame for everything that has happened so far. Arata angrily dashes at Takatora, and he tries to slash him, but he blocks it. Takatora notices that Arata has gotten a bit more powerful than before, but even with this, he thinks he is no match for him. Takatora pushes Arata backwards while urging him to come quietly. Takatora shows how deadly he can be when he unleashes a powerful skill, the Ice Emperor's Prison. The entire area freezes up, and Arata finds himself trapped in ice. Arata's movement is restricted, and Takatora unleashes powerful icicles to finish him off. With no way to dodge the attack, Arata is knocked out cold. Takatora still makes fun of him for falling unconscious from an attack that is not even his best. He points his sword at Arata, ready to finish him off so he can tell the association whatever lie he wants. Just as he is about to kill him, he gets hit with an ice attack that stops him. This shocks him, and when he turns around, he sees Rei and Aoi staring at him disgustingly. Rei mentions how Takatora has been causing trouble, and she asks him why he is fighting in public during the day. Takatora is shocked to see the guildmaster, and she reveals that she has been watching him. Rei now sees that Takatora tends to do whatever he likes whenever she is not there. Takatora tries to justify what he did by saying Arata is an irregular, but Rei lets him know that this doesn't give him the right to beat him up. Aoi moves over to Arata to help him, and in his weak state, Arata sees Rei, and he recognizes her from the guild. Aoi uses her skill on Arata, and she heals him. Arata finally opens his eyes to see Aoi beside him, leaving him surprised. He tries moving, but Aoi urges him not to because his wounds will only reopen. Arata shows his hatred for Takatora by screaming out that he will never forgive him, but after saying this, he passes out. Takatora then tells the girls that they will be going against the association if they plan to heal Arata and take him under their wings. Rei then tells Takatora that the association has not filed an arrest order yet. Since this is the case, she plans to request the go-ahead to put him under Navy Guild surveillance. Takatora wants to argue, but Rei urges him not to, telling him that she and Aoi will be in charge of taking care of Arata. Takatora then reminds Rei that he is also a Golden Slayer like her. Rei asks him what he means by this, and Takatora suggests that they expand the guild while working together. He plans to support the guild with his Goto Corporation. Rei lets the dude know where she stands by telling him not to come any closer to her. Takatora is forced to back off, but he tells Rei that she will come running back when she sees just how cool he is. Rei is disgusted by Takatora's presence, and she tells Aoi to take Arata to the infirmary, and she promises to be there soon. Momentarily, Arata wakes up in the Navy Guild infirmary. He tries getting off the bed, but Aoi is there to stop him, telling him that she has lots of questions for him. Just then, Aoi says she has a bad feeling because Rei has not shown up yet. She leaves the room while telling Arata to stay on the bed and not dare run off again. Aoi rushes down the hallway, and she soon finds Rei, who claims that she got lost while trying to locate the infirmary. She grabs her by the hand while scolding her for missing her way. Aoi cannot believe that even with how strong Rei is, she is totally hopeless when it comes to directions. The two then return to the infirmary, and the moment they enter, Aoi asks Arata why he ran away from the guild the last time, and why he was also fighting Takatora. Arata stutters as he tries to answer, and Rei lets him know that he can be protected if he registers under the guild. In addition to this, he is going to get other benefits, but she wonders why he isn't registering. Arata still refuses to say anything, and Rei lets him know that no matter what, he will be placed under surveillance, but they are not going to try to control his life. After saying all of these, Rei asks him if he's ready to talk. Arata opens his mouth to talk, but he keeps quiet again. He realizes that he might end up putting his brother in danger if he says anything. Realizing that he is not ready to talk, Rei decides to back down, and she tells the two that it is time for them to head out. Arata is confused, but Aoi celebrates at the sound of this. Later that night, Arata finds himself visiting a restaurant with the girls. He is surprised that he was able to easily get out of the mess from earlier. Aoi tells him that he has been fighting for a couple of days, and even though it is good to be a workaholic, she lets him know that it is good for him to take breaks. The sound of this is appealing to Arata, who realizes that he hasn't had a proper meal in ages. Sitting in front of him are nice dishes and meat that he can easily munch on. He decides that he is just going to rest a little before he heads out to find his brother again. Aoi urges him to eat as much as he wants because the guild will be paying for everything. Arata is surprised to see such a nice gesture coming from the ladies. He realizes that they have been helping him back to back, but he has not really done anything in return for them. He wonders if it is okay for him to accept the food, but he soon realizes that he can't even hold back from the food again. Arata immediately digs in, and he thanks the two for the help. Tears drop from his eyes as he enjoys a good meal in what can be considered forever. The girls also join him in eating, and they look happy while doing so. Arata is left to wonder if he ever would have gotten the chance to sit with the girls if he hadn't gotten the orb. After they have eaten a bit, Rei decides to ask Arata some questions. She lets him know that he is also free to ask her whatever he wants to. The first thing she asks him is if he became a slayer recently. Aoi on the side teases Arata, telling him that he is lucky to be having a one-on-one conversation with Rei because people from the guild rarely get to. Arata then decides to ride on this, and he tells Rei that he has one thing to ask her. He asks Rei how the guild locates magic fissures. He is asking because he wants to be at a fissure before Takatora can get there. Rei then reveals that they predict the fissures just like predicting earthquakes. She explains that they analyze factors like geomagnetism, gravity, and cycles of past field disturbances, which they combine to get an approximate location of where a magic fissure will open. However, the accuracy is usually around 60%. Aoi can see Rei smiling around Arata, which is something she considers very unusual. Suddenly, Rei gets a notification on her phone, telling her that a magic fissure will occur near the LK building within the hour. From the evaluation that they have seen, it seems like the fissure will be a silver-class fissure. Rei becomes worried when she sees this, and she tells the two that they no longer have the time to be sitting around and eating. She believes that high-ranking monsters will appear in the fissure. She turns to Aoi, who immediately offers to go. Without hesitation, Arata also says he would like to go. Because Aoi will be going with him, Rei lets Arata know that she will permit him to go to the fissure. However, she urges him not to let his guard down because this might come back to bite him in the back. Arata assures the lady that he is going to be careful. Deep down, Arata is convincing himself that he should be able to handle a silver rank fissure since he has been leveling up. Aoi and Arata then head out toward the predicted destination where the fissure will appear. Just as predicted, they get to see the rift open, and as expected, it came out as a silver rank fissure. Aoi can sense the excitement in Arata, and she asks him if he is okay. Arata assures the lady that he is fine and he can easily take on the fissure. Arata and Aoi then run into the fissure to try to clear it. This time around, they find themselves inside ruins. Arata is forced to ask what makes up the fissures. Aoi says it is said to be a place where beasts live, but no one can say for sure that it is all there is to it. Aoi says the fissures disappear when the boss is defeated, but she is pretty sure that there are places that don't disappear. Arata is shocked to hear Aoi's take on this. Arata is still talking about how there are no enemies nearby when he suddenly hears something approaching them. Before the two know what is going on, a level 25 sandworm appears from beneath them. It shows its large mouth covered with large teeth, and it suddenly dives back into the sand. Aoi tells Arata that they just need to listen closely for the sandworm. Aoi concentrates on her hearing, and she is able to figure out that the sandworm is aiming for them before it emerges from the sand. She then adds that there are several of them. Basically, they have been surrounded before they even know it. Aoi is confused and doesn't know what to do, but Arata tells her not to worry too much. Arata places his hand on the ground and releases the soot so he can sense the vibrations in the sand. Using this, Arata is confident that he will be able to sense where the sandworm is trying to approach them from. Just as he expected, he is able to pinpoint the sandworm's exit location. Just as the sandworm is emerging with its head, Arata already has his shadow blade on the ready. He slices off the sandworm's head, and he figures out that it will be easy for him to take on the sandworms as long as he knows where they are going to emerge from. Aoi is impressed by what Arata just did, and she compares it to whack-a-mole. Arata reveals that he was thinking about the things he could do the entire time that he was recovering in the infirmary. Arata explains that he already envisaged that he should be able to connect with the soot if he spreads it out thinly. Because he was unable to leave the hospital bed, this was all he was practicing. Arata is glad that everything went well, even though it's his first time. Arata has also figured out that he can use the soot in so many ways, which is not limited to combat. Aoi commends him for his ingenuity and says they will be able to handle the sandworms just fine. Arata then continues with the same strategy, and in no time he has taken out all of the sandworms, leaving only the fissure boss. However, he tells Aoi not to let her guard down. They arrive at what appears to be a tomb, and Aoi urges Arata to stay on his toes because she can sense something off. She has not finished saying this when a stinger with a terrifying aura emerges from beneath the sand behind them. Arata initially thinks that it is another worm, but Aoi lets him know that he is wrong. She tells him that they are going to be begging for life if they get hit by the stinger. Just then, the stinger reemerges behind Arata, but this time around, he is ready for it. Before the stinger can reach him, he turns around and cuts it down with his shadow blade. Arata reveals that the beast is just wasting its time if it thinks it can hide under the sand, because he already sent his soot deep into the ground, just like he did before. Aoi commends Arata for his wise decision to have spread the soot in advance. Aoi admits that Arata has gotten stronger. Arata also admits that he has gotten stronger, and not only that, Aoi is also with him. He figures out that with his current stats, he should be able to fight against silver ranks or even higher. Suddenly, the boss of the fissure finally decides to reveal itself, and it turns out to be an annoyed level 29 death scorpion. Arata has managed to cut off its stinger earlier, but it is still dangerous, thanks to the massive claws on it. The scorpion swings one of its claws at them, but Aoi comes to the rescue by blocking it with her shield. However, Aoi struggles against the power of the scorpion, and Arata notices this. Arata figures out that he needs to help out before things become dire. He charges toward the scorpion, but the scorpion notices him and almost cuts him in half with his other claw. Thanks to his agility, he is able to dodge the hit. Suddenly, Arata finds himself levitating in the sky, and this is thanks to a water platform created for him by Aoi. She urges him to make use of the platform to try to gain an advantage over the giant and terrifying scorpion. Arata thanks the girl, and he makes proper use of it by leaping off it and cutting off the scorpion's head, spilling green blood everywhere. Aoi excitedly walks toward Arata, revealing her relief that they were able to defeat the scorpion. Arata is also glad, and he tells the lady that they can finally head home. Just then, Aoi points out that something seems to be off about the whole thing. She points out the fact that the clear notification is not popping up, which is something that has never happened before. Given the fact that they have defeated the boss, the fissure should already have started disappearing, but this is not the case. Arata finally catches on to what Aoi is trying to say, and he asks her if there is the possibility that a fissure doesn't close. Suddenly, Arata senses an ominous presence, and what follows is a voice from a scary figure sitting beside them. The dude has long ears, and a dark purple aura emanates from his body like a demon. The scary dude talks about how fun it was watching them beat the scorpion. Arata and Aoi are shocked to see a magic beast, even though they have taken down the fissure boss. What shocks them the most is the fact that the magic beast can freaking talk. The dude then reveals how he likes controlling beasts to take out slayers. This is when it dawns on Aoi that the magic beast talking to them was the one controlling the fissure boss, which is something totally unheard of. The magic beast then decides to show the two what he is capable of. Since the scorpion claws are still lying around, he uses his power to start controlling the scorpion, telling it to fight to the very end. This is when it dawns on Arata that the dude can control the monsters even when they are in pieces. The scorpion charges at the two, and they frantically unleash their long-range attacks to dismantle the scorpion. The dude is not impressed by the scorpion's display, and he suggests that the two become his puppets instead. Aoi can only wonder just what in the world they have found themselves going up against. With a snap of his finger, the scary dude opens a fissure, and he tells them that they are free to come inside. He promises to give them a grand welcome if they follow him. Arata cannot believe that they have just run into a fissure inside another fissure. Arata figures out that the dude is hijacking the fissure and gathering bosses. Aoi tells Arata that the fissure in front of them appears to be the main base. The fissure looks more dangerous than every other fissure that they have come across, but Aoi figures out that they need to go inside to defeat the dude if they want to clear the original fissure. It finally dawns on the two that the real battle is just about to begin. The two walk into the fissure even though they are nervous. The fissure looks like a castle, and Arata wonders if it connects to the human world. Meanwhile, they are being watched from above without even realizing it. Suddenly, the magic beast above them comes leaping toward Arata with a sword, ready to decapitate it. However, Arata turns around just in time and fires his cannon into the beast's chest, ultimately taking it out by creating a large hole in its chest. Just then, the two notice that they are surrounded by a horde of monsters that appear to be boss-class monsters, and they are all under the dude's control. Arata cannot believe just how shameless the dude is for turning other monsters into his puppets. Aoi tells Arata that they might be strong enough to beat all of the monsters. Arata whips out his sword and cuts down a bunch of them, but they don't stop coming at him. The moment they realize that they are getting tired, they figure out that they need to ignore the other boss-class monsters and focus on defeating the main dude. Aoi points to where they need to go, and the two dash in that direction while the other puppets run after them. They manage to reach the throne where the dude is sitting and waiting for them. Even though they have managed to get to him, he has terrifying knights standing beside him, and they both have giant swords with them. The dude tells them that they might have cleared out most of his puppets, but he still has plenty more in reserve. Aoi then points out the fact that they are going to kill him since his end will also bring an end to his so-called puppets. The dude laughs at them, telling them that they can only boast, but they are nothing but trash to him. Arata then asks him why he is going through all the trouble of gathering magic beasts, and the dude mentions that it is fun for him. He considers making other beasts his puppets and being able to control them at will the best thing there is. He then says humans are the same to him, which is why he wants to turn Arata and Aoi into his puppets. Since he is strong, he believes that it is his right to prey on the weak. Arata then decides to ask him the big question. He wants to know if there is a way that they can turn a human who has transformed into a magic beast back to normal. Aoi is shocked by this question, but the big bad demon immediately figures out that there is a person Arata wants to turn back to normal. Arata angrily asks him again, and the dude lets Arata know that he might be willing to say if he manages to defeat him. Just then, the dude unleashes his power, which allows him to control blood. Blood sharpened like projectiles aimed for Arata, and he managed to block most with his power. However, he gets hit by the rest. While still dealing with the blood attack, one of the knights reaches him. Arata watches as the knight swings his sword, ready to take him out, but Aoi comes to his rescue as usual. She creates a shield to protect Arata and block the knight's attack. However, this alone takes a huge toll on Aoi's body. Arata runs over to check on her, but she assures him that she is fine, even though she clearly doesn't look fine. Aoi then urges Arata to finish off the big bad demon while she handles the knights. Arata promises to take out the demon, and he charges toward him with the determination that he can't allow Aoi to get hurt any more than she currently is. Aoi casts a healing spell on herself to help her move a little so she can handle the knights and regroup with Arata. Aoi knows that her only chance is to finish off the beasts all at once, and there is just one way to do it. She puts her everything into the only skill that she is convinced can help her. She charges up and unleashes a powerful energy blast that dismantles the knights. However, the knights just rearrange themselves yet again, but Aoi isn't surprised, since she already suspected something of such happening. Aoi is ready to take on the knights with whatever energy she still has left inside her. As Arata rushes toward the big bad demon, the demon notices that Arata is stopping his bleeding by mixing soot with his blood to coagulate it. The demon considers this a very nice trick, and he smiles as he asks Arata if he is from the same world as him. Arata is shocked to hear this, and he figures out that the dude is talking about his unique skill. Instead of talking too much, the demon suggests that they finish their fight. He wants to see which is stronger between his blood and Arata's soot. The demon unleashes his blood at Arata, but Arata disperses the blood with his burst soon cannon. The demon then tries another trick. He throws a blood whip at Arata, waiting to see how he is going to handle it. Arata is able to slash it with his shadow blade, and this level of intensity from Arata excites the demon. He continues throwing the blood whip at Arata, but he continues blocking it. He teases Arata, telling him to unleash everything that he has. Arata, on the other hand, figures out that the demon will only wear him down with the way the fight is going. The demon then mocks Arata again, telling him that he is just a boring fighter. The demon then takes it a step further by telling Arata that he might just go after Aoi once he is done with him. The demon then directs his blood attack toward Aoi, who already has her hands full against the knights. Arata turns around to scream out Aoi's name, but at that moment he feels a blood spear impaling him from behind. He is confused and stunned by this as he coughs up blood. He crashes to the ground, and the demon mocks him for looking away during battle. The demon then prepares himself to turn Arata into his puppet, just like he promised. He aims his blood spike at Arata, but Aoi somehow manages to reach him and protect him yet again. The demon is pissed that Aoi is ruining his fun, and Aoi admits that the demon is pretty good for him to have taken Arata down. Instead of arguing with the demon, Aoi starts healing Arata with her powers without letting him know. When the demon figures this out, he makes fun of Aoi, telling her that Arata died because he was protecting her, but lets her know that there is no need for her to heal him. The demon's words cut through her chest when she hears that she is the reason Arata died. This makes her remember how a monster terminated her sister Minato right in front of her. Aoi wants to lose herself in the process, but she manages to calm herself with the realization that the demon is only trying to get to her. She figures out that she just needs to hang out until Arata recovers. Since Aoi is not ready to give up on Arata, the demon decides to play with them both. He throws his blood whip at Aoi, but she blocks the attack with her water shield. The demon laughs at her when he realizes that she uses water attributes. He continues attacking, but Aoi just blocks everything, telling the demon that her water attribute exists to stop the spilling of blood. Apparently, her water attribute has what it takes to blend with anything, which is why it is great for support. She's been training overtime just to master her support roles. Just then, the demon realizes that Aoi is diluting the intensity of his blood by mixing it with water. The demon doesn't really care about this, and he figures out that he just has to bleed more. Aoi knows that she will eventually be overwhelmed by the demon's power if it continues the way it is. Just then, Arata regains consciousness, and Aoi wastes no time passing him a water bubble. She tells him to mix the water bubble with soot to change the game. Arata does as told, but the demon mocks them, telling them that no matter what they do, they have no chance whatsoever. The demon unleashes his blood whip just as usual, but this time, Arata meets him halfway with soot powered by water particles. It consumes his blood, shocking him. Unknown to him, water is the most adaptable thing, and it easily amplifies power. Aoi then leaves the fight to Arata, and she urges him to take down the demon. Arata doesn't waste time as he runs toward the demon. Using his shadow blade, he slashes the demon right on the chest. Blood spills everywhere, and the demon feels the impact of what Arata did. He crashes to the floor while holding his chest in pain. He admits that Arata has overdone himself as the first human who has caused him pain. The demon cannot believe that he is the one who is always the one with the advantage, but everything is about to switch. The demon known as Valgad gets a flashback of when he was about to leave his domain. His subordinate told him then not to leave, but he insisted, and before leaving, Valgad was told that the one thing he had ignored would come back to bite him in the arse. Valgad is surprised that everything is happening just as his subordinate said it would. Arata then demands that he teach him how to turn humans back from magic beasts. Valgad laughs at Arata, claiming that he said he would only tell him if he won. Arata is enraged, and he screams at him while demanding that he tell him how to turn his brother back into a human. Valgad takes a deep breath, as if he wants to tell Arata something important, but he switches it up and starts laughing at him, saying it is impossible. Valgad claims that there is no way a human can come back to being normal once they have transformed into a magic beast. Arata's face goes pale with shock and disappointment. Valgad doesn't hesitate to use this to mock him. Arata watches in horror as Valgad dies and turns into dust in front of him. Arata then jumps from level 15 to level 21, but he remains stationary. Aoi stands behind him, asking him if he is fine. Just then, an item dropped, and Aoi picked it up while calling Arata's attention to it. Apparently, an item has never dropped before after a fight. Aoi tells Arata that he might get a special skill by using the item. She passes it on to Arata to use, and when he collects it, he realizes that it is a skill. Vassalization. Arata realizes that it is the same skill that Valgad was using, but he doesn't seem to be interested in it. The system informs him that the skill allows him to resurrect any deceased individual as a vassal and control them. However, resurrected vassals don't retain their abilities, which means they will only obey their master's will. Momentarily, Arata and Aoi return to the real world after the fissure disperses. Arata doesn't look like a winner, but more or less a loser. What Valgad said keeps ringing in his head, but he doesn't want to believe that there is no way out. Aoi senses what is going on in his head, and she urges him to calm down, assuring him that there must be a way out if they work together. Arata then reveals that he still has the desire to save his brother, even if he can't turn him back to his human form. When they return to the guild, Aoi reported everything that happened to Rei. She sympathizes with Arata, and she figures out that Arata's power shares the same origin as Valgad's. Aoi then suggests that they capture Arata's brother and put him under surveillance. Aoi lets Rei know that Arata will never hurt people, even if he shares the same power as magic beasts. Aoi assures Rei that she knows this well by fighting alongside Arata, and even if it ever comes to that, she lets Rei know that she will stop Arata by herself. Realizing Aoi's determination, Rei agrees to this, but tells Aoi to leave Arata and let him rest. She lets Aoi know that she will consult the association about her proposition. Meanwhile, Arata returns to his old house. The entire apartment is looking like a rat's apartment, as if no human has ever lived there before. Arata walks around the house with the realization that his brother might never come back home. Arata is thinking about his brother when a fissure suddenly opens right in front of him. Arata is shocked that a fissure is opening inside the house. The fact that the fissure opened in his room makes him wonder if his brother is inside the fissure. He slowly walks into the fissure, and the insides of the fissure shock Arata since it looks familiar. Without thinking too much, he decides to explore before anything else. After walking for some minutes, he wonders why nothing is happening. He soon reaches a spot where it seems like the floor was destroyed using brute force. He walks toward a door, but when he tries opening it, he realizes that he can't because a wood is blocking it. He whips out his blade and destroys the door with it. He enters the room, and to his surprise, he finds his brother in there. His brother has turned into a level 38 boss, and he doesn't seem like he knows who Arata is. Arata, on the other hand, starts weeping because he has finally found his brother. He tells his brother that he has been searching for him and never expected that he would be hiding in such a place. Arata acts casually in front of the beast, addressing him as his brother and urging him to come back home with him. However, his brother turns around and hits him with an energy blast that sends him crashing into the wall. Arata doesn't want to fight his brother, and he tries telling him that it is him. His brother tries to attack him again, but Arata leaps onto his shoulder to try and talk some sense into him, hoping that he would be able to reach him. Things go from bad to worse as Arata is smacked away like he is trash. Arata crashes to the ground while he wonders if his brother has truly turned into a magic beast. Suddenly he remembers the vassalization skill that he got after defeating Valgad. However, the condition to use the skill is that his brother has to be dead. While he is still contemplating what to do, his brother hits him again. Arata crashes to the ground and refuses to stand up because he feels guilty that he was unable to save his brother. His brother rushes toward him, and just as he is about to finish Arata off, he gets hit with a water attack that sends him flying to the ground. Arata gets back on his feet in shock, wondering what just happened to his big brother. Just then, he hears Takatora's voice behind him, calling him a pathetic loser. Takatora portrays himself as a hero and says he is there to save Arata. Arata immediately jumps between the dude and his brother, telling him not to interfere in the fight. Takatora is pissed that Arata is trying to protect a magic beast, but it suddenly dawns on him that Arata's brother is the magic beast. Arata questions Takatora and asks him why he is there. Takatora doesn't hide the fact that he has been monitoring Arata's movements. He lets him know that as long as he is affiliated with the Navy Guild, whatever he does is not hidden from him. Trying to protect his brother, Arata whips out his shadow blade. Takatora unleashes his ice blade, telling Arata that he now has an excuse to kill him with no one to complain, since he has chosen to protect a magic beast. Takatora confesses that he is going to end Arata's life under the pretense of justice. Arata angrily swings his sword at Takatora, but he easily blocks the attack. Takatora asks him if he has what it takes to protect the magic beast, but Arata argues with him, telling him that his brother is not a magic beast. Takatora then unleashes a long-range attack that tracks down Arata's brother. Concerned about his brother, Arata turns around to see if he is hurt, but Takatora makes fun of him for turning around in the heat of a battle. Enraged, Arata tries to strike Takatora down, but Takatora easily disperses all of his attacks while telling him not to get cocky. Takatora laughs at Arata, telling him that he is going to cut him up alongside his brother. Arata is pushed backwards, but he continues defending his brother, saying he is not a magic beast. Arata is ready to defend his brother day and night because of the memories that they have shared together. Arata reveals the determination he has when it comes to protecting his brother. He runs at Takatora again, and this time, his attack appears to be more powerful. Takatora feels the heat, forcing him to jump backward. Nonetheless, Takatora continues making fun of Arata for being a dirt-poor person. He lets Arata know that it is the end for him and his family, and Arata asks him what he means by this. Takatora then makes fun of Arata, telling him that there were 2 other magic beasts, and by this he is referring to Arata's parents. He reveals that he has already killed his parents, and he has no regrets about it because he even used them to gain experience points. This is enough to make Arata mad, and he unleashes a powerful aura from his body, but Takatora is not concerned as he tells Arata that he will not be showing him mercy. Takatora sends his deadly ice technique after Arata. A 3-headed ice beast slithers toward him, and Arata prepares himself to engage the beast. He swings his sword so hard that he manages to take down 2 of the heads, but he misses one. Takatora admits that Arata has gotten stronger, but it is still not enough. The last head comes flying at Arata, and Arata realizes that he doesn't even have the agility to escape. Just as he is about to get hit, his brother jumps in to protect him. His brother smashes the last head, shocking Arata. His brother doesn't stop there as he runs toward Takatora and he hits him so hard that he is sent flying into the wall. Arata is stunned when he sees this, leaving him to wonder if his brother is able to figure out who the enemy is. Takatora is now faced with Arata's brother, and even Takatora is surprised by what is happening. He refuses to believe that a beast can protect a human. Instead of worrying too much about it, Takatora decides that he will kill Arata and his brother. Arata figures out that he might have a chance if he is able to restrict Takatora's movements. He remembers what he did with Aoi's water bubble, and he decides to do the same thing again. He places his hand on the ground and releases the soot. Takatora assumes that he is creating a smokescreen like before, and he tries to counter this with his water powers, but before he knows it, the soot merges with the water to create a sticky fluid. Takatora finds himself trapped in the fluid, and Arata is pleased that his little plan worked. Arata believes that he has seen the perfect opportunity to take Takatora down. He leaps toward him, but before he can even reach him, Takatora disperses the sticky fluid. Takatora prepares to cut Arata down, but suddenly, his brother appears behind him. Before he can react, Arata's brother smashes his hands together to catch Takatora, and this leaves a loud explosion. Arata is shocked and excited that his brother managed to defeat Takatora. Arata is about to relax when he suddenly sees his brother coughing up blood. Arata's face lights up in horror as he watches Takatora emerge from the shadows and cut down his brother like he is tissue. Arata screams in horror, but it is already too late as Takatora cuts his brother down to his soul. Arata falls to his knees as his brother turns to dust right in front of him. He still doesn't want to believe it until the notification comes in that the fissure has been cleared. Arata returns to his room in tears while Takatora stands above him, reminding him that he already told him not to be cocky. He continues making fun of Arata, telling him that learning a skill doesn't mean he can win. Arata then mutters a single statement, and this is him telling Takatora that he's going to kill him. With tears running down his face, Arata gets on his feet, and a dark, scary aura swirls around him. The entire room is filled with dark shadows, and Takatora can feel it. Nonetheless, he is not scared since this is not the first time Arata has acted cool, and he has put him back on his arse. Takatora lets Arata know that he is going to finish him off with just one strike. Before he can even move, Takatora finds himself engulfed by soot. Before he can react, Arata swings his sword so hard that it knocks Takatora out of the room. Takatora falls to the ground with pain crawling all over his body, while he wonders how he is losing to Arata. Arata walks over to him, telling him that he will never be satisfied, no matter how many times he kills him. Takatora cannot believe that he is actually getting the chills from a dude he considered to be weak. However, he gets back on his feet with the intention of finishing Arata off. He activates his ultimate attack, but this time around, Arata consumes it with his shadow power. Before Takatora knows it, he is pinned to the ground by Arata's several blades and weapons. Arata doesn't look like himself as he walks toward Takatora, asking him if he is done fighting already. Fear starts creeping in, and Takatora figures out that he needs to escape. This only causes Arata to get angrier, and he unleashes a powerful aura that totally knocks Takatora out. He is about to finish him off when Aoi's shield appears over Takatora to protect him. Aoi appears on the scene, telling Arata that she is never going to allow him to touch Takatora. Aoi can sense the immense power coming from Arata's aura. Aoi's barrier doesn't seem to be enough as Arata's shadow blade breaks through it. Aoi gets hit in her arm, causing her intense pain. Aoi is left to wonder what sort of power Arata is wielding inside. Even though she has no chance against Arata, she still stands up to defend Takatora and stop Arata from killing him. Aoi realizes that he has no chance against Arata. Aoi is scared that things will go south if Arata increases his aura. While lying weakly, Takatora makes fun of Arata and Aoi, telling them that the association will take over once they realize that things are bad. Aoi, on the other hand, is thinking of how she wants to get Arata back to his normal self. Aoi fails to stop Arata as he unleashes more aura into the environment, which ends up destroying nearby buildings. Rei is watching this from her office, and she decides that it is time for her to step in and subdue Arata. At the Jade Sky Guild, Takuto has gotten info on Arata's out-of-control state. He decides that it is time he steps in and takes Arata off the street. Arata continues releasing a powerful aura into the surroundings. He targets Aoi, and just as he is about to finish her off, Rei shows up. She blocks Arata's strike with her power, and she apologizes to Aoi for being late. Rei gently places her on the ground, and she urges her to rest while she fights Arata. Rei figures out that something must have triggered Arata's power and rage, which is why he is totally out of control. Just then, Takuto shows up on the scene. He is hyped to take on Arata, but Rei tries to stop him. Takuto reveals that the association has a different viewpoint to the way they see things. When Rei hears this, she asks Takuto what the association is planning to do, but he refuses to answer the question. Takuto mentions that Rei and Aoi seem to be attached to Arata already. Rei argues that she is only doing what other guildmasters will. The two are still arguing when Arata tries to attack Takuto from behind. Rei screams at him to warn him, but Takuto doesn't look like someone who is scared. Arata swings his sword frantically to try to get Takuto, but suddenly Takuto's presence turns to petals. This shocks Rei, but before anyone can react again, Takuto hits Arata with his skill, the ethereal dance. This knocks Arata down, but Rei is shocked as she never expected Takuto's skill to easily take down Arata. Rei immediately reveals her stance, telling Takuto that she won't allow him to kill Arata if that is his plan. Takuto grins while assuring Rei that he has no intentions of killing Arata. Takuto reveals that he would not want to kill someone who is shrouded in mystery. Arata gets back on his feet and lets off a loud scream, and the moment he does this, he starts drawing in power. Takuto is not surprised by this, as he already suspected that Arata is gathering power from magic beasts. Arata turns his attention toward Takuto and tries to manifest a bunch of weapons to kill him, but he remains standing. Takuto is impressed, but at the same time, he figures out that Arata doesn't have full control over his power yet, and he is just letting it run wild. Takuto stares at Rei, telling her that he is ready to finally take down Arata. Rei is more interested in what the association wants, but Takuto doesn't have an answer to this. His entire body is engulfed in a green aura as he prepares to take out Arata. Before Arata knows it, Takuto's power restrains him. Before Rei can start getting worried, Takuto assures her that Arata is not dead but sleeping. With this, Takuto vanishes with Arata's body. After the two are gone, Rei fears the worst might happen to Arata at the association. Just then, Aoi returns to the scene after she had left to help civilians evacuate. She is shocked when there is no sign of Arata anywhere. Rei finds it hard to reveal that Arata has been taken away. When Arata wakes up, he finds himself tied up. He is still wondering where he is when a dude, who looks like a maniac, shows up. He has a whip with him, and he smiles as he tells Arata that he is about to get started with him. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment next part in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.